that feeling like when you tip your chair back and you're about to fall, that you're like.
Would you say that you enjoy school?
No.
It changes the way people think, and they try to shape us in a certain way.
We asked students what kind of emotions they associated with school, and these were the responses we got.
Anxiety.
Judgment,
Overwhelm.
Anxiety.
Frustration.
waste of time.
Do you see any flaws in the current school system?
I think sitting for 6 hours behind desks when we're entering part of the prime of our lives is ridiculous. I really do. I think students, though, allow themselves to become sedentary by sitting in front of gaming consoles or computers and so on. So it's as much students' fault as it is school's fault.
Would you say that the stagnancy of sitting in desks all day can contribute to stress and anxiety levels?
Absolutely. I mean, it is proven that lack of physical activity can cause more anxiety. So for sure, I would say physical activity plays a role in that, in being stagnant.
Do you find that the students you work with experience anxiety or stress related to school?
I think, yeah, a lot of them do, and I think there's some very extreme cases out there.
Would you say that you experience stress or anxiety because of school?
Yeah.
According to a 2008 study by Nazreen Roberts, 17% of all students have an anxiety disorder. The study also showed that female students are twice as likely to suffer from anxiety, and disorders are most prevalent in students in grade 10 or 12. Do you ever experience stress or anxiety related to school?
Yes, like 95% of my stress is school related.
With both anxiety and suicide rates rising in high school students, we must ask ourselves, what is the cause of all this stress?
They're putting a lot of pressure on students.
3-day weekends, 3-month summers, just get more time to chill, like we work so hard for like so long, but if you put a break in there, I think, it would really like give us like time to recover. We would do better overall.
Should put less pressure on students, especially like when they're graduating.
The way they teach people. Like, I'm not saying like directly to like some teachers, but I'm saying usually teachers have their own teaching style and only some students understand that.
Maybe like shorter days, or either that or like 3-day weekends, because you don't have that time to release. Like you get Saturday, and then as soon as Sunday hits, you have that whole stress of just it's tomorrow, like it's gonna happen, like you spend all of Sunday just like that.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Just waiting for the bus. It's around 8:15, 8:20. Using the timing of an average student's schedule, we calculated that in order to accomplish everything and still get the recommended amount of sleep, days would have to be 28 hours long. In your opinion, does the current school system meet the needs of both staff and students?
No, probably not.
And why would you say that?
I think, at least in this building, there's a lot of staff suffering, feeling stressed and overworked because of the way the timetable's set up. And I think there's not always the resources available for students who need it.
We found that one of the main causes of the students' anxiety was receiving excessive amounts of homework, with some students receiving up to 4 hours every night.
Would you say that the material you learn in school is important for your future?
No.
No. No.
And some of it just up to you, never use that.
Obviously certain things like we need to know, like reading and writing and math, but I mean they should teach us more about how to pay taxes and things like that we're going to need in the future. When you're 17 years old, 18 years old, it's not like you're going to know what you're going to do for the rest of life. Because if you look at a 30-year-old and an 18-year-old, you think, wow, there's such a big difference between those two ages, but we're expecting people to know what they're going to be when they're 30.
What would you say is the hardest part of school for you?
The people. Like, I'm pretty good at like math and like science and all that stuff, but it's just like talking to all the people and, you know, having to deal with drama that you don't want to deal with.
Definitely testing, because I understand things as we're going through it, but then as soon as I get a test put in front of me, I just like go completely blank.
I just the way that they teach social studies or classes like that is that you have to like memorize stuff, and like people don't always learn that way. Like I'm more of a hands-on learner, so then if I like try and memorize stuff, it just goes down the drain.
And then grades up, you know.
I'd like to see more help in place for kids who are struggling with anxiety, or kids who have issues at home, or kids who aren't getting enough to eat. All of those kinds of things that would just help kids out living a better life. I think there's so many things that could be improved. That's a really tough question to answer.
What would your recommendations be to students to help deal with their anxiety?
I think the first thing I would recommend is just to acknowledge that you have it, and seek, I would say, some kind of help from an adult of any sort, either a parent, their family doctor, a friend's parent, a counselor at school, a teacher at school, anyone that you know has access to be able to help them.
What kind of resources do you have available to students with anxiety or stress?
There's lots of resources available in our community now because it seems to be on the rise in terms of many people have anxiety. Again, it ranges from mild to severe, but there's lots of resources in the community from counselors, mental health, lots of resources on the internet. We give out websites for the kids to access. We have apps for their phones that they can access immediately. So it depends on what they're looking for or how stressful their anxiety is, that the resources are definitely available.
Fine arts, visual arts, all these things are way underplayed, undervalued.
We spoke to students and found that classes involving creativity provided a reprieve from the stress of their daily lives.
Would you say that a lot of the students you work with have anxiety or stress related to school?
They do, but I don't think they see my class in the same light a lot of the time, because once they realize that it's not about judgment, it's about improving yourself. Let's say sharing a project, let's say a video project, stops being a stress, and you want to hear what people have to say because they're not judging you on it. They're saying, hey, we tried this, it might make it way better. So once you get past once you start to see the value in creative criticism or constructive criticism, it opens a whole new world. You get past yourself and you start thinking about, okay, how can this be beneficial to others, right? Yeah.